In the golden light of morning, Hua moved along the path to the river. A clay pot balanced gracefully atop her head. Her bare feet, calloused from years of walking the dirt trails of the village of Segu, made no sound. Her steps were measured, not from tiredness but from habit, a rhythm of repetition that brought her solace. The river was her escape, a place where her dreams could breathe and float on the wind, like the cottonwood seeds that danced above its current. Here she was not a daughter or a duty, she was only Hawa. At 16, Hawa was known for her quiet strength and thoughtful eyes. She listened more than she spoke, observed more than she judged. While many of the village girls giggled and whispered about marriage and husbands, Hawa's heart leaned toward the stories in her school books. Tales of brave women, of distant lands, of minds opened and unchained. Her favorite was about a girl who became a doctor. That story made her heart ache with longing. She knelt by the water, cupping her hands and watching the ripples move outward. She imagined them as possibilities stretching across her life. Hawa's dreams were delicate, but they had roots like the baobab tree. Deep, persistent, patient. Hawa! A voice broke through the hush of the morning. It was her cousin Kadiatu, breathless and wide-eyed, running toward her with the urgency of someone carrying bad news. What is it? Hawa stood quickly, her heart beginning to pound. Your father, he has visitors, important ones, elders, and moose visitor. Hawa's hands trembled. The clay pot slipped from her fingers, cracking against a rock. Water spilled across the sand like tears. She didn't need Kadiatu to say more. Her father's compound was buzzing with false cheer. Women prepared tea in small glasses, poured with practiced height. Men laughed too loudly. The scent of wood smoke mixed with the tension in the air, heavy like a coming storm. 3 men sat on woven mats, their robes neat, their eyes wary. Musa was among them. He was a man of wealth, cattle, land, and wives. He was tall and thick-set, with a voice like gravel and eyes like the shadows beneath the baobab tree. He did not look at Hawa as she entered. That was tradition. Her father motioned her to sit. Hawa, he said, his voice both proud and heavy. Musa has come with a proposal. 5 cows, 3 sacks of rice, and he will build a house near his compound. He will take good care of you. Hawa's mouth was dry. Baba, I want to go to school. There was silence. Her mother turned her face away. One of the elders coughed. Musa narrowed his eyes. School? Her father echoed, his voice rising. You are 16. Do you think the world waits for your books? This is a good match, a generous offer. Hawa felt her soul being boxed and labeled. Wife, possession, commodity. I don't want him, she said quietly. Her voice was soft, but the words hit the room like a monsoon. Musa rose slowly. The girl needs time, he said, smoothing his robe, but not too much. He left without another word. That night, Hawa sat beneath the baobab tree, her knees drawn to her chest. The tree was ancient, a silent keeper of secrets. She pressed her forehead to its bark. Please, she whispered, let there be another way. I will find it, even if I must run. The wind rustled the leaves in reply. The days that followed were filled with forced celebration. Singing filled the compound, the rhythms of djembe drums echoing through the village like war chants to Hawa's ears. Women laughed and painted her hands and feet with henna, swirling designs of fertility and good fortune. They tied her in cloths of gold and rust, made her hair shine with shea butter, and told her to smile. You are blessed, her Aunt Yai said, smoothing a fold of fabric. Musa is a powerful man. You will eat well. Your children will be strong. Hawa smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. The day before the wedding, her mother entered Hawa's hut carrying a bundle of white beads. Her fingers were trembling. She sat on the mat and placed them gently in Hawa's hands. These were mine, she said, and my mother's before me. Wear them, be obedient, make him proud. Did you love Baba when you married him? Hawa asked quietly. Her mother looked at the ground. It is not about love, it is about duty. But what if I don't want this duty? What if I want something else? Her mother's eyes glistened. Then you must carry that burden with courage. Kadiatu came that evening with a hidden smile and a small book wrapped in cloth. For you, she whispered. Madame Diarra gave it to me. She said it was meant for you. Hawa opened the book. It was a journal, its pages blank and waiting. Write your truth, Kadiatu said, even if no one hears it but the baobab. That night, Hawa lit a candle stub and began to write. They are preparing my body for a man I did not choose. My voice is quiet, but it is not gone. My soul is screaming. I want to live. I want to choose. And the candle burned low, flickering against the walls like the wings of a bird ready to take flight. The village hummed with anticipation. Women were grinding millet and frying sweet dough, preparing for the wedding feast. Drums practiced quietly, their rhythms like heartbeats preparing for a storm. Men gathered beneath the neem tree to talk about the bride price and the growing season, pretending not to notice the tension in the air. Inside her hut, Awa sat still while older women twisted her hair into intricate braids. They hummed songs passed down through generations, lullabies of endurance and submission. Each tug of her scalp felt like a reminder of what she was losing: control, youth, dreams. Her eyes met the small mirror propped against the wall. The girl staring back at her wore fear like a second skin. Tomorrow you will be a woman, said an elder named Miriam. No more rivers and books. You will have responsibilities. Hawa said nothing. Her stomach was a knot of dread. Her heart thudded like the drums outside. Later, when the women had left and the compound quieted, Hawa slipped out. The moon was a sliver above the baobab tree, silver light draping its branches like silk. She walked barefoot, feeling every grain of sand beneath her soles. Are you running? Kadiatu's voice came from the shadows. Hawa turned, startled. How did you? I know you, and I would too if I were you. Hawa sank to her knees. But where would I go? Musa has men in every village. My father would send others. Kadiatu sat beside her. There is a woman, Madame Diara. She helps girls. She helped me stay in school. She can help you too. Hope sparked inside Hawa, fragile but bright. Then I will go. Tonight. Kadiatu squeezed her hand. I will help you pack, and I'll bring you to her. But you must not look back. Not even once. As the wind whispered through the leaves above, the baobab seemed to shiver, as if bearing witness to the birth of something new. A rebellion, a girl's quiet revolt. The compound was still when Hawa slipped out through the side gate, wrapped in a plain bubu that hid her bright wedding henna. Her footsteps were light, her breath quick. In her small sack she carried only essentials: her journal, a pouch of dried mangoes, the white beads her mother gave her, and a photo of her schoolteacher, Madame Diara. Kadiatu waited for her near the old well. She hugged Hawa tightly, then pressed a scrap of paper into her hand. The directions, she whispered. Go straight through the forest path. Don't stop until you see the mosque near the highway. A motorcycle taxi will meet you there at sunrise. I paid him already. Hawa's eyes brimmed with tears. Thank you, Kadi. You saved me. Number, you saved yourself. Then Hawa turned and ran. The trees closed around her like a shield, the leaves whispering secrets in the wind. Every step felt both terrifying and freeing. Her feet thudded softly against the dirt trail as she pushed deeper into the forest, away from the village, away from Musa. Halfway through the path, her sandal straps snapped. She kept going barefoot, the pain sharp but cleansing. The sky began to lighten. She pressed the directions close to her chest and whispered, just a little further. Behind her, distant shouting, they had discovered her absence. Panic surged, but so did determination. She pushed harder, her lungs burning. Branches tore at her skin, but she didn't stop. Not until she saw it, the shape of the mosque in the pale dawn, its dome like a promise. A young man waited beside a motorcycle, his eyes scanning the trail. When he saw her, he raised a hand. Are you Hawa? She nodded, panting. Yes. He looked over his shoulder nervously. Hurry. She climbed onto the back of the bike. As they sped away, the village of Segu vanished behind them like a dream she no longer belonged to. For the first time, Hawa felt the weight of her freedom. It was terrifying. And it was hers. The journey to Bamako was long and bumpy. The motorcycle carried her down dusty roads and winding paths until the forest thinned and buildings emerged on the horizon. When they arrived at a modest clay-walled house tucked behind a grove of mango trees, the driver knocked twice, paused, then knocked again. The door opened a crack. "Yes?" "Hawa," the driver said simply. The woman behind the door stepped into view. She was tall, with strong shoulders and wise eyes. "I am Madame Diarra. Come inside." The moment Hawa crossed the threshold, she burst into tears. Madame Diarra held her until her sobs softened. Then she led her to a room with a thin mattress, a bucket of water, and a wooden desk. On the desk sat a single candle, a pen, and a new notebook. "You're safe here," Madame Diarra said, "but safety is not freedom, that you must still earn." Hawa nodded, wiping her face. "I want to learn. I want to finish school. I want to be more than someone's wife." Madame Diarra smiled. "Then rest tonight. Tomorrow we begin." Hawa sat by the window that night, staring out at the stars. She held her mother's beads in one hand, her journal in the other. She had escaped, but her journey was only beginning. Days turned into weeks, and Hawa's life began to shift. Under Madame Diarra's careful guidance, she enrolled in a local school. It was not easy. She had never been in a classroom filled with other children before, and the lessons felt like a distant dream come true. Yet every page of the textbook, every word spoken by the teacher, was like a new breath for Hawa. At first, she was overwhelmed. The other children, some younger, some older, often looked at her as if she were from a different world. Her clothes were simple, her accent thick, and her manner reserved. But the teachers, Madame Diarra, and a few kind classmates accepted her with warmth. She never forgot how it felt to be accepted when she had once been invisible. Months passed. Hawa found herself blossoming in ways she never imagined possible. She was no longer just the quiet girl with dreams of escape. She was becoming someone who could make those dreams real. One afternoon after school, Madame Diarra sat Hawa down and placed a letter in front of her. "You have a choice now, Hawa. You can choose to stay here and continue your education, or you can return to your family and live as Musa's wife." Hawa felt a jolt of fear and sadness. The thought of returning to the life she had escaped was suffocating, but deep inside she felt a fire burning bright. "I will stay," she said, her voice firm. Madame Diarra nodded approvingly. "Then you will continue your journey to become the woman you are meant to be." Hawa knew her path would not be easy. There would always be struggles, and sometimes doubt would creep into her heart. But she also knew that, just like the baobab tree, she would grow deep roots, unshakable and strong. And the world, her world, would open to her in ways that only dreams could describe. The journey was far from over, but Hawa was no longer a girl caught in the winds of fate. She was the force that would shape her own future. And the baobab tree stood tall in the distance, its roots stretching as deep as her resolve. 10 years later, the village of Segu welcomed home a visitor who arrived not in silence, but with purpose. She stepped out of a white minibus, dressed in a crisp white blouse and a long indigo skirt. Her hair was tied back, her gaze firm yet gentle. Hawa had returned. Children ran ahead of her, whispering, "Is that her? The girl who ran?" Women peeked from their compounds, some with curiosity, others with quiet pride. She walked straight to the baobab tree. Its branches were wider now, its roots deeper. Beneath its shade, Hawa knelt and touched the soil. "I did not forget you," she whispered. "You gave me courage." In the village square, she gathered the young girls and spoke to them of education, of freedom, of strength that grows in silence. She donated books, supplies, and promised scholarships for any girl who wanted to study. And when she passed her father's house, she did not stop, but she bowed her head in respect. Not all wounds needed reopening. Some could heal by becoming something greater. Back in Bamako, Hawa worked as a doctor. Her patients knew her for her soft hands and fierce eyes. They called her Dr. Baobab, the girl who stood tall. And in every letter she wrote, in every life she touched, the girl who had once been forced into silence now spoke loudly through her actions. The baobab still stood, and so did she.